Hey.
Hey, I'm too bright. I have two lights.
I just got in the meeting and then you're just slowly raising your arms like I don't know, like you're
Oh
trying
yeah,
to
no, he
perform
did a
a miracle
commit
or
about
something.
walruses
Oh,
or
yeah.
something. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I thought my mic was muted.
I heard something very interesting about walruses. I
Oh
only
yeah,
heard
no,
about walruses.
there's a Python operator that's colloquially named the walrus because it's a colon and an equals, and they're very divisive in the Python world. So I hear.
Is it a declaration and assignment at the same time? Is that what it is?
What is a walrus? It's a declaration and assignment, is it?
Well, no, it's you can declare a variable as part of conditional.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, you declare a variable as part of a conditional statement, yeah. Because they can't leave the language alone. Sort of weird, but whatever.
Quit picking at it.
I don't really like Python, to be honest.
Okay, so looks like we have 7. I'm not sure how many people we'll get today. Mike kind of usually runs these meetings, Mike Beamer. He's not here, he's not with us today, but he'll be here next time. So I'm kind of filling in for him. The agenda, I'll put the meeting notes in the chat, just in case you want to follow along or you want to add something. It's not too late to add something, so if you want to, please feel free. Okay, so yeah, that's in the chat. We'll give it one more minute just in case.
Ben, I'm just gonna copy your item below because I created like an entry for the 19th. Let me just get rid of that piece on top. Just everything is one piece down.
Ah, my bad, sorry.
Yeah, no
I
worries,
think
no
I
worries. No,
noticed.
no, I created it late today. I thought I had already done it.
Okay, so yeah, we're 3 minutes after, so I guess we'll get started. Like I was just saying, Mike isn't joining us today, so I'm kind of running the meeting. And oh, it looks like we have Ben volunteering to be scribe, so thanks a lot, Ben. Feel free to add yourself as a participant. And if you'd like to, you can just use the reactions in Zoom to raise your hand if you'd like to introduce yourself. That's totally optional if this is your first time attending. Okay, go ahead, Adam.
Hey, yeah, I figured I'd introduce myself. I'm Adam. I'm from DevCycle. We're also building a feature flagging platform. So yeah, came in to kind of listen and see what's going on.
Very cool. Good to meet you. Thanks for coming. Okay, so I don't have too many items today, but I'll get started. So I'll just do a brief update on client support. Pete and I did have a very productive meeting with Spotify. We did ask their permission to record it, and they were okay with that. So I don't want to just broadcast it, but if you're interested in getting a copy of that recording, I'm sure that would be okay with them, considering they let us record it. So if you're interested, please hit me up on the CNCF Slack, and I'll happily send you a copy of the video if you'd like, of the recording. There's also a Slack does a cool thing where it automatically transcribes them, so I can send that to you too if you're interested.
We've also got one of us has got a recording from the Launch Darkly interview that we did as well. So if you are interested in 2 recordings, then hit both of us up.
Thanks, Pete. That's right. So I think it was a really productive meeting. I don't want to dive too deep into that topic because the other thing I guess I have to mention is we do have a dedicated meeting on client side tomorrow. One of the reasons that we kind of moved it outside of this topic time is because it's been kind of monopolizing discussions. And also, frankly, I wanted to put it in kind of an unusual time slot because maybe I thought we might get different attendees. So we're shifted a little bit more to the West Coast tomorrow. It's at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And it's also on our Google Calendar. So if you're interested in hearing more about client development, the client spec changes, we can talk more about some of the feedback from Spotify, as well as the Launch Darkly meeting Pete just mentioned. Please attend there. It's going to be more of a free-form meeting, and we'll just kind of review where we're at so far, and that kind of thing. The other somewhat minor thing I wanted to mention is I did open up a security board in the OpenFeature project. I'll provide a link to that. So there's a couple high-level issues on it. So a lot of what the security board has on it is basically implementing the repository requirements, which I'll also link. They are available here. So these are the repository requirements for basically any OpenFeature, any repositories under the OpenFeature project, especially ones that want to hypothetically do 1.0 releases of artifacts. These aren't arbitrary. They're designed mostly, they're kind of designed mostly considering the CNCF tooling recommendations, which are also linked in the requirements page that I just put in the docs. So a lot of what the security board contains is collections of tasks to implement these in various repositories. So it's things like SBOM generation, which is particularly important these days for open source projects, especially with supply chain attacks becoming more and more widespread. We want to make sure that we're not falling victims to any of those, and that we have those things kind of officially documented, as well as things like dependabot/renovate, and also some basic testing, automated releasing. Releasing is something that especially that a lot of maintainers, that it takes up a lot of maintainer time. So we want to do our best to kind of automate those things in a consistent way. I know when there's release issues, it definitely slows me down a lot trying to troubleshoot them. And I think probably everybody who's a maintainer of one of the SDK repos has dealt with something like that at some point. So we're just trying to bring some consistency in there, and using CNCF recommended tools to improve security as well. So I'm going to continue to keep this board up to date. If there's security related CI/CD stuff, I suggest you use the security label to kind of collect them under that topic, because then we can easily run queries against our repository to see what kind of security related things we need to do. Obviously, not all of the repo requirements are strictly about security, but a lot of them do kind of verge into that territory. So yeah, those are basically the two things I wanted to talk about at a high level. We don't need to go into too much more detail. I think there was a point by Ben. I don't know if you still wanted to say something,
So, well, sorry,
Ben,
yeah,
or we can just open it up.
I didn't realize that there was a specific client meeting tomorrow. So I'm happy to wax about that tomorrow because thought about it a lot, got an opinion about it now. I think I agree with Justin, so but I'll stop talking.
Yeah, so I mean those are the only things I wanted to mention. I guess if there's nothing else, one question I wanted to kind of follow up on, and maybe I hope not to put you on the spot too much, David, but I was wondering if maybe you could talk a little bit about the incubation process. You've been kind of creating issues and stuff like that, that I've been trying to follow my best, and I was wondering if you could update us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I was actually gonna put in an item, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, so the incubation proposal, we've forked the general proposal, and we're kind of following the lines of obviously other projects. For now,
Uh-oh. I guess we'll come back to David because he seems to have lost connection. Well, in lieu of that, does anybody have any other topics before? Oh, hey, go ahead, David. He's back with us.
for you. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, the incubation proposal is moving forward. I was saying we have some parts which are completed. My plan is now to reach out to everyone who's listed as a maintainer for the different SDKs, to kind of get an advancement of what has happened in each SDK, which one is stable, which ones are stable, and yeah, that way we have kind of a full proposal. I think the largest item that's still missing is the future plans section, which I think Mike had already brought this up, probably with the governance board. At least that's my last update.
I don't think he did, but
Not
maybe
sure.
he's planning to the next time we have a meeting.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if anyone has any questions, or I think, yeah, something else. We're still looking for a sponsor to then get this done. We haven't approached anyone yet, as we're still completing the proposal, but we do have some names in mind, I think.
One of so back to the governance board thing and future plans. I think one of the things that happened at the governance board meeting is it got sidetracked with a whole bunch of client discussion, which is why we added a dedicated client meeting tomorrow, and why I didn't want to have the same thing happen here. I mean, if we totally run out of topics, maybe we can discuss a little bit. Also, maybe it's worth saving it for tomorrow. But I guess the other thing I'd like to ask about that is, I know there's adoption requirements. And I also know, David, that you've been in contact with some production users, and I was wondering if you could give us an update on that.
Yeah, so it hasn't been so much myself as also Adam, so Adam Gardner. I think he reached out to you, Justin. He's reached out to a few other people. Let me just check really quickly. Yeah, so reached out also to Wired. I'm never sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, so I ask for forgiveness. Has reached out to Rob Crow, and I think also John Rowley. So we need at least 3 adoption stories in production. In theory, we have a little over 4 or 5. I'm not sure right now, if the 5th one is confirmed, but yeah. So ideally, adoption stories, we don't need let's say a large description. It's mostly a link to the company webpage, and then a small sentence just of how this has been adopted, or let's say some comments coming from the company that adopted the technology.
Sorry to jump in there. So eventually we will need more. I think we can store the stories in there for the document, but then people will be invited to join a dedicated meeting on their adoption.
So the CNCF runs that
names.
meeting or audits the meeting?
Yes, so somebody from the TUC, there's usually 1 or 2 TUC members who more or less have a private meeting, private in the sense of that none of the project members are joining the meeting. So we should also have names and people who would be willing to speak about the project. So it's a bit more effort for them. So usually it's like a half an hour interview, covering questions. Well, how are they using the project? What they like? What I think the project should improve? How well the community is working? How easy it is to contribute? These are kind of like the questions that that usually come up in these meetings.
So is kind of Adam Gardner still the point man on that process, or do we need to solidify that a little bit more, like who's tracking that effort?
From my experience, I think we really should wait how we move along with the due diligence process, because this can actually take quite some time. And in some cases, it then gets frustrating because you're lining up meetings with people and then they keep getting delayed, or in some cases, and also people kind of move on. So I would wait until we have at least a TUC sponsor assigned. And then I would start those discussions and try to get the end user interviews usually scheduled rather sooner than later, honestly.
Okay. Make a note about that.
Sorry, by the way, for being late, but for some reason my calendar is entirely empty now. I don't know what happened to my corporate calendar, but it's
Congratulations.
Yes, it's getting me a bit uneasy, to be fair. There was a lot more meetings in there an hour ago. Anyways, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I think, yeah, thanks for that update. I think that's something we need to stay on top of, even if we want to wait on formalizing those things and making meetings about them and that kind of thing. Even if that's the case, I think that we still need to keep track of who our production users are somewhere and make somebody responsible for that, so that when we need to have those meetings and we need to create that documentation, we have a list of people. So yeah, I mean, if anybody here knows of production use cases that that we're not aware of, please like ping somebody on the governance board, ping myself or somebody else in the technical steering committee, because we just want to make sure that we keep track of these users, at least, so that when the time comes that we need to document the stuff, we need to have these meetings, we know who they are. It's one of the things that I think is an ongoing challenge with the project, because we don't essentially know, especially when somebody just pulls a Maven artifact or pulls an npm artifact. Like there's not an easy way to track that, even with tooling like Scarf, etc. It still basically relies on consumers reaching out and letting us know that they're using stuff.
I think it might also get easier, honestly, once we reach really incubation stage, because then we can have a dedicated project meeting at like KubeCon and other conferences. I mean, nothing is holding us back from doing one, but we won't just get any sponsored space from from the CNCF, obviously. I have seen this in other projects. We had talked to people who have been using a project for a year and never really interacted with you. And sometimes then the only reason why they talk to you is because you changed something on that project that they really cared about, but never actually really talked about. So
yeah. Okay, I guess kind of so far a short one today, so I'll open it up to any other topics anybody wants to mention. Like I said, we have a dedicated client meeting tomorrow, so I'd recommend we don't spend too much time talking about that. But I'll open the floor up to anybody who wants to drop more topics in.
I'll just note that I added Sonar Cloud to the organization, our GitHub organization. And so it's like an installed thing. And if you log in with your GitHub credentials, you can add it to your various repositories.
And did you add that to the Java SDK already? Is it doing scanning?
I clicked the button to analyze the Java repository like during this meeting because I saw it on the security list. So I am concurrently listening in and fixing up some of the generic issues that it is highlighted.
Okay. Well, it might be a short and sweet one today, unless somebody wants to bring any other topics up.
Maybe one question could be if we want to try and put in a proposal for the LFX mentorship. I saw they sent out the email for project proposals. So there's, I think, about a week and a half still of time to do this. I'll also share this. Not sure. So there's a GitHub repo with all the information.
I think the same would be true for Google Summer of Code, right?
The same is true for Google Summer of Code, which opens on the 23rd for submissions. So the question is, if we want to participate, for example, in Google Summer of Code, we need at least 2 people that, let's say, do the admin work. And then the idea is you have usually mentors that help the mentees go through their projects, but I'm not sure if anyone else has already participated in the past. No. I think one final update on my side is, yeah, there will also be soon the form for the kiosk at KubeCon EU. So once that's out, I'll also put that in the next agenda. That way we can see whoever wants to participate and maybe support the booth at KubeCon EU.
Appreciate that.
Just quick question. Is who's planning on going to
Okay,
that event?
but
Yeah, I might jump on the train
so before we do
yeah,
that,
and meet
probably want to
and things. That might be fun.
uh,
So yeah, if I'm there, I'll definitely be happy to
Yeah. which
get a sore throat standing in an overly air conditioned conference room.
It'd be good to see you, see you in person. Maybe we should. Do we have a? I don't know if we have. I think we used to have a KubeCon channel, like a KubeCon OpenFeature channel. Maybe we can revive that or create a new one. Yeah, there is an OpenFeature KubeCon. Yeah, so it's OpenFeature -KubeCon in the CNCF Slack, which we used. We've used a number of times around other KubeCons, so you can go ahead and, yeah, there you go. I see Dan O'Brien is there now. So if you're especially if you're going to be at KubeCon EU, you might want to join that channel just so we can sync up. And then, yeah, and a little bit after that, there'll be another KubeCon NA. Okay, well, I don't think we need to take up any more people's times if that's it.
No,
call
but
it.
I think, yeah, David, what would be maybe great for the next meeting to have an update from the various sub projects, like from SDKs, operator, FlagD, like more globally, and because we have the task of nominating the maintainers to give them a chance to provide an update more globally.
Is there something that in relation that you would like us to report against? like, I'm happy to talk about what's going on in the Java SDK, but there's not a ton going on in the Java SDK. And if there's a SDKs, I guess we can like report against the security board. That's one. Like how things are going in relation to that. Didn't know if there were others.
Yeah, I think it's also fine if nothing is really going on. Also things that you might want to work on. I think we have, after like 1.0, we have kind of like reached kind of this stable level right now. And also what we will need as part of future plans is to come up with a roadmap. I think everyone obviously of the sub project should have a word in it. So I think it's just what's currently going on and what you would like to work on and maybe would need support, kind of need support on. I think we have been working quite, it almost felt like after 1.0, everybody was like super happy with the 1.0 release. But yeah, I think maybe that's also then something taught for the rest of the technical committee to decide on like, when are we going to cut the next release? What do we want to have in there?
Well, we've had releases of SDKs subsequently, like we just did 1.1 of .NET yesterday. There's probably going to be a 1.1 of almost every 1.0 SDK, just for some minor stuff. It's nothing crazy, but the next big thing is client support, and that won't implicate. I don't think that will really implicate any of the existing SDKs. We have to talk about how we're going to actually implement the JavaScript SDK for client support. But I think like it could mean a Kotlin SDK. Spotify may donate a Swift SDK. So that's what's really implicated in the client discussion, I think, as far as I know. And that's a bit predictive, a bit of a guess, because the spec is not complete. But I think that's really where, from a specification SDK standpoint, I think we're going to spend some energy in the near future.
All right, I think we don't have to keep people otherwise longer than needed. I think everybody has enough to do. Client discussion again tomorrow. I think, David, you posted a link to everybody who's interested in the client discussion.
Yeah, there should be the link. It's also on our LinkedIn pages, so whoever sees it can also join a bit more easily.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Then I guess have a great week, everyone, or end of week.
All right. Bye.
Thanks all.
Thanks.